Alright, welcome back to the Slim and Slam podcast. I promise I remembered to record audio the first time. I'm Slim.
Sure you did.
Joining me is Slam, and he's going to make fun of me for the next 10 minutes, probably.
I am going to make fun of you, because I did a whole bit about Budget Bane last week, and now it's gone.
I know, man. Look, I tried. It's not every day that we do this, you know? It's not like we've done 6 episodes or anything. You would think I'd be a professional by now.
You'd think I'd remember how many episodes we recorded, because somebody asked me about it earlier this week. I thought we were on 9.
No.
Boy, time is weird.
Yeah, not quite. We're on episode 7 for those of you listening at home, and if you haven't listened to 1 through 6, take a step back, go watch those first, then meet us back here for this episode here. Slam?
Yes.
I've got a heck of an episode for us today.
Alright, hit me with it.
I know you're a big sports guy. A lot of sports.
Oh yeah, all the footballs and the hockey goals
Yes.
that one can dream of.
Score a lot of touchdowns and your home runs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. A lot of Canadians and Happy Gilmore. Yeah.
Whoa, we're stepping on a line with the Canadians there, bro.
What? I like hockey, so.
Alright. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about a bunch of sports. It's gonna be the sports episode. Big sports time.
Alright.
So I'm sharing my screen with you here as we go through this podcast.
I see this.
We're gonna look at a couple. Yeah, we're gonna look at a couple different things. Don't worry about the map right now. We'll get back to that in a second.
Alright.
So everybody's got their conventional football, baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer if you're from the States, and football if you're from a heathen country.
Okay, now we're stepping on a line.
But I'm gonna bring to light here some sports that are maybe not quite as recognized.
Okay.
And we're gonna start with this one.
Shovel racing.
Yeah.
There's a Wikipedia page for this. This is not a reliable source.
It's a real sport, I promise. I saw it on the internet.
Okay.
Alright, so basically the concept is shovel racing, and I'll pop a picture up for those of you watching on YouTube. It's like toboggan racing, but on a shovel instead of a sled.
Alright.
That's it. That's the whole sport.
That's it.
There's no points, there's no teams. You get on a shovel, you go down a hill.
I'm looking at this Wikipedia picture, and I'm pretty sure this is a dude that I'm looking at. That's gonna hurt if he smacks into something at the end.
Yeah, you know, I'm thinking they probably have some stop capability.
He has that thing straddled like a champ.
Yeah, so for reference for audio listeners, we have a picture of a guy with a racing number on his chest wearing a helmet, decked out in snow gear, and he's sitting on a shovel with the handle of the shovel between his legs. So maybe he could use that handle for steering, I'm not sure. But what Slam is referring to is when he hits the end of the track and there's probably hay bales there to stop him, he's going to catch a handle to the groin. The Wikipedia says the top speed of elite shovel racers, because there is an elite status for shovel racing. The top speed of elite shovel racers can range up to 70 miles an hour.
70 miles an hour and a potential of getting a shovel straight to the nads. Now that's shovel racing.
Now that's pod racing. For reference, we did our first watch through of the prequels with Slam last weekend as a group. Slam has never seen the Star Wars movies. So when we get through them all, we'll do a podcast on that. We'll see what he thinks. But there's going to be a lot of like Phantom Menace era references probably because it's fresh on the mind. That's one of them. But, you know, I thought I'd start a nice simple sport. Not a lot of rules we got to learn, but that's shovel racing, okay?
Okay, does it say by chance where this is most popular? Like, this seems like it was dreamed up by rednecks somewhere in the U.S. There's obviously snow, so it had to be somewhere northern.
Alright, so here's the crazy thing, okay? Competitive shovel racing, as we know it today, of course, has its roots in New Mexico's ski resorts in the 70s. Creator Damien DeLeon has been unofficially credited as the, quote, king of shovel racing. It began after ski resort workers used shovels as sleds to quickly move from one location to the other. The shovel racer typically races on a basic snow shovel. Competitors generally wax the underside of the shovel to increase its speed.
All right. New Mexico is not the first place that I would have guessed in the 70s. I mean, I guess people were pretty bored in the 70s.
Hey, the world's most extreme sports have the unlikeliest of origins.
I suppose so. Got anything more on shovel racing?
Yeah, just the last fun fact here. It was once an event in the Winter X Games, but it was removed due to safety concerns.
Oh, really?
Probably something to do with that whole handle between the legs thing.
That's what I'm thinking, and if it's too extreme for the X Games, then
Then it's too extreme for everybody but just the most extreme people.
Too extreme for everybody except the people of New Mexico in the 70s.
Apparently. A lot of weed probably going on down there.
Is that a thing in the 70s? I thought it was more...
Well, like
LSD,
70s right after
cocaine,
Vietnam and stuff. Like right after Vietnam and stuff was kind of when, you know, like stereotypically I think we got into marijuana.
Fair enough.
So probably right around that era. And I would imagine, you know, New Mexico, neighbor to California. Makes sense to me. Well, it's not actually. It's a neighbor to Texas. I was getting it and Arizona mixed up, so.
Ah, gotcha.
So that's shovel racing. I figured I'd start the bar pretty high. So we'll go on to
I can't wait to see what else we have.
So go on to the next one here. And this is one I actually watched on TV growing up, okay?
All right.
To tell you how great of a sport this used to be, it was on Cartoon Network.
It was on Cartoon Network?
Yep, I'm talking about slam ball, baby, the best sport in all sports.
The heck is slam ball? Is this just basketball?
Alright, it's basketball, but on trampolines.
No way.
Yeah. So the coolest thing about slam ball, it was full contact. So you could like football tackle people in midair while they were trying to dunk off a trampoline into a hoop.
And this was on Cartoon Network?
Yeah, it was sick, dude.
What? Oh my gosh.
It was a bunch of guys who would have never made it in any professional basketball scene. And then they were like, what if all those guys could dunk? And boom, slam ball.
Damn, and it's named after me.
It is. The true slam ball.
This is definitely the coolest sport that I've seen so far. Granted, shovel racing, pretty alright. However, I'm giving it -5 points out of a possible 2 because I don't want to get hit in the nads.
Fair. So slam ball, the court was basically a basketball court, but instead of hardwood floor, it was trampolines everywhere except the middle of the court. So you had trampolines inside the three-point arc for either side, and then the hardwood in between. I don't remember if you had to dribble or not, but there was a lot of weird rules surrounding the trampolines, and I think you got more points for dunking than you did shooting.
All right.
It was popular over in like China and stuff like that, because you know dunking is not a thing you typically see out of a nation whose average height is 5'8".
Hey, listen here, buddy. I got nothing actually. I'm short.
All right, like listen to these team names, okay? You had the Rumble, the Diablos, the Bouncers, the Steel, singular Steel.
Just one steel.
Exactly, just a single one. Mob.
Okay.
And Slashers.
Man, these guys were really, really creative when coming up with these team names.
So,
what year was that?
So this was so slam ball originated in 2002 as a professional sport anyway. And I think it went all the way through 2013 with seasons coming on and off, stuff like that.
Okay.
The preliminary seasons that I remember, sorry, not the preliminary, but the primary seasons that I remember are like 2007-8 era is when it was on Cartoon Network.
Huh. Alright, I can't believe I didn't see this. You'd think, I mean, Cartoon Network was a big part of my childhood.
Yeah.
So,
and like they were supposed to wear helmets and stuff like that, and they just didn't. Like there was an official uniform that was like pads and a helmet and stuff like that, and then nobody wore them.
This is why it was great to grow up when we did. We may be the forgotten people, but we got slam ball.
Exactly.
To add to our name.
The positions of slam ball, you had handler. He was the guy who'd like pass the ball to other people. The gunner, the guy who would shoot, and go dunk and stuff. That was his thing. And then the stopper was a guy whose only job was to tackle people.
Sick.
It was a sick sport, man. So I'm raising the bar above shovel racing just a little bit, but don't worry, we're not done.
This is getting a. I'm gonna go with a 5 out of possible 2 right now.
A 5 out of 2? That's fair.
Yep.
Alright, so we'll move on to the next sport then. Okay, this is a personal favorite of mine because it's one of the funniest things to ever be seen played, in my opinion. We're talking about underwater hockey right now. Let me give you a background on underwater hockey, and then I'll kind of describe to you what it is to be seen played, okay?
Alright.
So this is from the CMAS website, whatever that means. There's some scuba diving stuff and some other things on this site, but it has a history of underwater hockey. The British Navy invented underwater hockey in the 50s to keep their divers fit. The game came to Australia shortly after and has evolved into a fast, dynamic sport played in more than 20 countries. It consists of 15-minute halves and 3-minute halftime. Each team is allowed one 60-second timeout. None of that matters. Each side has 12 players.
12?
24 guys in a pool. Well, 20 guys in a pool. I think you get 2 subs.
Okay.
So
still though.
Yeah, so realistically you have 6 guys in a pool and then 4 guys kind of like dive in and out based on who gets tired, whatever. And they wear full scuba gear outside of like the wetsuit and the and the oxygen tank. They got a diving mask, snorkel, a big like glove, and like flipper fins.
Okay, so at least you can move faster, and they got a baseball mitt to catch the puck. What if how fast can you actually get up? I assume it's an actual puck, right?
Yeah, it's an actual puck, and they've got these like little like hand sticks that are like boomerang sized that they take down to the pool with them to whack the puck with. I imagine it doesn't go very fast.
I was gonna say, like, I mean, water is very resistant to anything trying to go through it. So I mean, how fast can you actually get it? I guess that's why you need 20 people in a pool. You can literally just pass it 2 inches to your right and then score it.
So have you ever been to like the public pool and you see those kids with like the diving toys or like the sticks that you throw and they go to the bottom of the water and all the kids jump in and try to dive for it?
Yeah.
That's kind of what this sport looks like. It's a bunch of guys flopping around in the middle of a pool. You get the hopes nobody's above you when you gotta come up for air. It looks like a giant just cluster of dudes entangled in the water. And then the cameras for this, they're like at the bottom of the water. So you can't see all the way across the court even though it's a clear pool because water distorts the image that much. So you gotta kind of like, they kind of gotta pan between the cameras to see what's going on, even with the clear pool. It's just not a very good watching experience, I'm not gonna lie. It's very funny. But I
see that. I've got some underwater hockey highlights going on right now.
Oh, yeah? Did you find some?
This is oh my, this is something. It's like a school of fish.
Literally, dude.
Oh my goodness.
And like you're supposed to have positions and like rotate and stuff like that, and it never is that way. It's just 9 dudes on a puck.
That's all this is. It's 9 dudes going down. All just running into each other. This is ridiculous. They're headbutting each other, just smacking each other with sticks.
It's cool version of water polo.
This is definitely something I'm gonna be watching more often, just because it's kind of going.
So, if you have more questions at home about the fantastic sport of underwater hockey, you can contact Jose Zhao, who's the world director, apparently, according to this website. And his phone number is 351-967-359-536. So if you got more questions, give him a call. Ask him all about the great world of underwater hockey.
Maybe we could get him to sponsor us.
Maybe. All right, well, that being said...
get a Slim and Slam casting some underwater hockey.
Oh, that would be the dream, bro. I've always wanted to be an underwater hockey caster.
Wait, and before we go, because I'm looking at this, and the general population of this, it's all, at least in this one, versus Turkey and Great Britain, they're all very pale. And how do you even tell them apart? How do you tell teams apart aside from what they're wearing?
I imagine the swim caps are the way you do it.
Oh yeah, I suppose so. It's very. It differentiates in color very well, actually. Now that I look back at this.
Yeah. Otherwise,
So yeah, that would make sense, but.
maybe different colored Speedos, and you just gotta figure out what team that guy's on by the color of his schlong cover.
Watching grown men swim around in a pool with like tiny sticks. I don't know. There's just something about it.
It's a great sport, man.
Makes you laugh. That's pretty good.
Well, with that being said, we've reached the 15-minute mark. We're gonna jump to a quick break, and we'll see you back afterwards.
See you then.
This episode of the Slim and Slam podcast is dedicated in support of Ukrainian individuals who are affected by the Russian invasion. One of the things we'd like to bring forward in front of you now is an ability to donate to individuals in need coming from Ukraine. I have a link for you here. It's from Caritas Ukraine. It's an organization that deals with youth ministry and youth organizations such as schools. It takes care of their education, healthcare, that sort of thing. The link to the site is caritas.ua. Now, be warned, it is in full Ukrainian, but we have some personal friends who happen to be Ukrainian that provided the site to us and say it's a good place to donate to, and they trust the source. You got to be careful where you're sending things these days. So, thoughts and prayers towards those in Ukraine, and let's get back to the show.
Alright, folks, welcome back. And if you thought underwater hockey was the king of weird sports, behold, we have 2 more sports, potentially 3 to go to, depending on time frame and need. Slam, how do you feel about the sports so far? Do you feel sported out?
I'm interested to see what you have, because if these keep getting even greater, oh man, this is quite the show. I'm enjoying this so very much.
Okay, so for reference, for those of you watching the YouTube video, I will post links to examples of these sports in the description just so you guys can go watch them, because it's a blast to see some of these things in action. If you're listening as an audio listener on Spotify, feel free to check out the YouTube channel as well and get those description links there as well so you can go see these sports. But we'll probably do a follow-up video at some point of us watching said sports and post it to our YouTube channel because it's a lot of fun.
I definitely would recommend everybody coming and checking out the link for underwater hockey, at least thus far, because I looked up the highlights and boy is it a treat.
Slam's found a newfound love for hockey under the sea.
Absolutely. Well, under the pool.
Under the pool. So, okay, the next one I've got for you, it's one of my personal favorites. All-time top 5 sports. Hold on, I got it.
Delicious.
I know, exactly, right? Okay, so this sport, top 5 of my all-time top list of sports that exist. This is medieval team combat fighting.
And I think we've seen this before. I think you and I have. I'm pretty sure we watched this back in college at some point or another. I definitely remember viewing people in heavy armor hitting each other with weapons.
Yeah, so I discovered this back in college, and this thing is so freaking awesome. Okay, so the organization that puts this on is the International Medieval Combat Federation, the IMCF. They're a global historical full contact sport movement in which combatants use historically accurate reproduction, armor, and blunted weapons to engage in competitive fights according to authentic historical tournament rules. That is not really what they do, but, you know, good for them for saying that. The way this works, okay, is there are teams based on your country, and this is from the organizer Battle of Nations. So if you want to check it out, YouTube, search Battle of Nations to go watch it, okay? But basically all these people from their different countries show up, and they've got full suits of armor, like the heaviest knight suits you could think of, and they're painted like the States ones are stars and stripes. Like Spain was there, and they had, you know, all kinds of countries got their flags painted on their armor. And there's different levels of competition based on team size. So there was a 3v3, a 5v5, a 10v10, and then I think there was one that was like 25v25. And the objective...
Jeez, I didn't...
Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't know that they went all the way up to 25v25. I think we only watched a few people go at it.
Yeah, I think we watched the 5v5, but there is one where just the hordes of people just go at it, and it's not always 2 teams. Sometimes it's like 3 or 4 teams going at the same time. But the objective of the game is to knock your opposing combatant to the ground. It is not like I hit your arm or your arm's off. It's like literally whatever it takes to pummel your opponent to the ground wins. So like you could run swords, but everybody runs like halberds, and the idea is just to swing it like a baseball bat as hard as you can at this man in a tin can suit and put him on the ground. It's freaking awesome.
I wish we had that closer to us. I'd love to go and see this in person.
So and there's like refs and all that, but none of it matters. You get 10 sweaty dudes go pummel each other in tin can suits, and it's awesome.
Oh, I really want to go and see this in real life. This might be a vacation plan.
I mean, like, realistically, dude, none of these guys know anything about fighting with swords or using shields. Like, there are guys who use shields as a battering ram.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, it's more fun to just watch guys that don't know what they're doing. Bunch of jacked dudes in suits of armor. Not even jacked, but enough to lift a heavy-ass weapon and smack it into somebody else that's wearing a tin can for a suit.
Well, the crazy thing about it is those suits of armor weigh like 20 to 30 pounds minimum.
Right.
They're heavy as hell. And if you get knocked off balance, you're just done. And good luck getting up off the ground, dude. Like, they're heavy, and now you're flat.
Probably have giant-ass cranes to lift everybody back up and get out of there.
I don't know. We didn't see that part. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch. So that's up there, like I said, one of my favorite combat sports.
Wouldn't it be even greater if you... Because we're getting into... I mean, we're already technological... we have a lot of technology, jeez. But it's to the point where there's... I don't know what to call it, like... bionicle arms, I would say, or robotic arms and stuff to advance your ability, like your normal muscle abilities. Like, wouldn't that be cool to see that in here? Even just a 1v1 where you're stronger and you can pick yourself up off the ground.
Are you trying to do cyber gladiators?
Absolutely.
Right,
Who wouldn't want to see that?
This circles back to my initial argument, okay? About sports in general. Anytime we talk about sports, I bring this up. If steroids are available to everybody, we would have better sports.
This is true.
Don't make them illegal. Let dudes who want to be really jacked be really jacked. If everybody's on roids, it levels the playing field between athletes. But also, everybody is the most they can be. Like, if you're roided out, I expect top performance.
Absolutely.
Like,
I want to see a football chucked across the entire field.
Exactly. Let me pop some guy's literal skull off when I tackle him, you know?
That might be a little bit overboard, and that's where it would get
my
revoked, but just below that.
Yeah, right. I want to dislocate his head from his shoulders.
But even then, the steroids would be too strong, so you need twice the force.
Right. So, again, it wouldn't happen because everybody's roided, you know?
Exactly.
All right. Are we ready to move on to the last sport?
I suppose so. Oh, man, but medieval combat, it's up there, especially since we've already seen it once before.
It is a blast, man. It's a blast. All right. So, here it is. The creme de la creme, greatest sport of all sports, never seen before. On this podcast, I present to you the MLQ, the Major League Quidditch. So, for those of you who don't know, Quidditch is the sport played in the fictional world that takes place in the books of Harry Potter. It is played on magical broomsticks that fly in the air and uses enchanted balls that fly on their own to play the game. It's got like 3 hoops on each side of a soccer pitch that are like 150 feet in the air, and you throw these balls through the hoops, and there's also a tiny ball that has wings, and if you catch the tiny ball, you win the game. Well,
right, so
you don't win the game. The game technically ends when you catch the snitch, and it's worth 150 points, so you almost always win the game. But the game doesn't end. There's no time limit until you catch the little golden ball with wings.
All right.
Feel like we got it?
I have to know, though, because as far as I know, in my short 23 years on this rock, I'm pretty sure that flying brooms and flying balls don't exist.
You would be right.
So how good can this Quidditch really be? I get that it's in the Major League, but...
All right, well, let me paint a picture for you. Okay, let me paint a picture. Imagine instead of flying broomsticks, we had not even broom, just regular stick.
Okay.
Between the legs, no flying.
Sounds pretty boring and like a giant disappointment.
All right, I can tell I've got your attention now. I can tell we're excited. Okay, so that's the broom part. All right, moving on. All right, so imagine instead of a ball that flies, it's just a soccer ball.
This is just soccer, but for kids that played on the stick ponies when they were younger.
All right. So we're excited, is what you're telling me.
I'm slowly getting less and less excited about this. This sounds... I'll just let you go on, because I'm going to keep ragging on this thing.
All right, that's fair. Well, let's say, okay, I said the thing about the post 150 feet in the air. That's pretty cool, right? But how are they going to do that? Well, imagine if we put the hoops on the ground. Is that... We're peaking interest anywhere?
I feel like we hit our peak with the medieval combat. This is starting to get worse and worse.
Yeah, so basically this is a bunch of nerds who found a soccer field open on a Sunday afternoon and a bunch of sticks on the ground, and we're like, yo, you know what we could do? Make a professional league where people play Quidditch.
This sounds like a bunch of people that really loved the Harry Potter books and movies growing up, and you're like, oh, we could make this really good, and somehow it got all the way to a major league sport. And I'm looking at this map, and there's a lot more states where this is an actual thing than I was expecting.
Yeah. So I'll do the rundown of the map here, but we'll go through it piece by piece. But this is what in all I guess what appears to be a completely functional professional league where people play the game of Quidditch. So there are teams in Kansas City, Austin, San Antonio, League City. That's got to be like a region, I assume.
I guess so. I have never heard of League City, Texas.
Unsure. New Orleans, Charlotte, Washington, New York, Boston, Ottawa, Rochester, Toronto, Cleveland, Detroit, Indianapolis, and Minneapolis. So one not too far from home. We could potentially go to a home game.
I think I'd rather go and see the medieval combat if I'm being truthful.
Yeah, that's fair. So
I think I could stick with the live stream on this one.
So this is the about page. I'm just gonna read a little bit here, and we can go into some of the media pictures and stuff like that, and try to discern some of the finer details. Because I actually don't know how they do the snitch. So Major League Quidditch is a national league that runs from June 1st to August 30th. The majority of seasonal activity takes place between June 1st and July 31st. Our aim at MLQ is to present Quidditch in an elegant, highly consumable form that mirrors other sports' top leagues. It features standardized scheduling, high-level officiating, in-depth statistics, and live and recorded footage of all games. Our league is home to 15 franchise and 1 trial expansion team from the United States and Canada. These teams are divided up geographically into 3 divisions, North, South, and East. Every team plays against every other team in its division. All regular season games will be completed by the first weekend of August, and then they have a postseason where the winner walks away with the title of the Benepi Cup champion.
The Benepi Cup champion. Again, I'm looking at this map, and the fact that they said North, South, and East. Did they get laughed out of the West? Or what happened there?
I'm unsure. This definitely seems like a thing that would start on the East Coast. So I'm going to go with that. Oh, okay. So I figured out how they do the snitch.
Okay.
The snitch is a person.
Okay.
Who plays tag for potentially a very long time.
Oh, my goodness. What is this? The current business model? I'm seeing... Is this what they're paying the refs?
Yeah, so the head ref makes $30 a game. Assistant refs make $10 a game. That's equivalent to about 5-year-old soccer. And then the snitch referee, which apparently decides when the snitch is caught, I would assume, gets $10. So on line with the assistant referee, but their only job is to watch the snitch. And then, of course, the snitch runner, the person being the snitch, gets paid 15. That extra $5 on top to run for potentially 8 hours sounds like it's definitely worth it.
Oh, dude. We should have definitely done the medieval combat one last. This is definitely interesting, but
we will definitely watch this for a video, but this is quite possibly the nerdiest shit I've ever seen. I mean, good for them. I hope that the people get paid for it, but I am unsure if that's the case.
I don't know. This would seem like a club sport that you'd go and do. The fact that it's Major League, hold on, is it actually Major League or is it just called Major League?
I mean, they're franchise teams. It says, you know. It seems like
How?
there's money involved.
Like, who'd sponsor this?
Now I can answer that.
Oh no!
There is.
Please tell me we're not a sponsor of this.
There is a sponsor page. I'm trying to get to it here. The website's fighting me.
They don't want you to check it out there.
Here it is. This is our sponsor page. Savage Apparel, Athlete Ally Victory Through Unity, Howard County, Maryland, the whole county, and whatever this is, USQuidditch.org. This is a worldwide sport?
You're kidding me.
No way.
No.
That's a college. That's another. This is colleges playing the game.
Oh no.
So obviously there's a draft of some sort, I would assume, to go from college Quidditch, make it to the big time, and play Major League Quidditch in the league, of course. You know, like that LeBron commercial's going around right now where he's like, we're going to the league. That's what kids are doing over at UCLA. You know, this is where your Western Front comes from, Caleb. This is your UCLA and your Baylor. That's West Coast stuff right there.
Oh my goodness. When you first brought this up, I assumed that this was something that somebody was bored enough and is like, hey, we could do this once the pandemic ends.
But this was going on since before pandemic, man.
I know. I saw before that and I was like, oh.
Straight there,
This
updates
is
on
a bunch of nerds
COVID-19.
putting this together.
The 2020 official and sanctioned events may now take place as of today. Apparently, you can do it right now. I would assume you probably need to wear a mask to play the sport, but you know that's a given at this point in time. Of course, the eligibility of graduating college seniors is a concern for the U.S. Quidditch organization as a whole. Redshirting is not allowed, obviously. So if you have just graduated, not allowed to play. Gotta go straight to the pros.
Gotta get put in straight to Major League Quidditch. And I'm not trying to rag on anyone for liking Harry Potter. Personally, I haven't read the books and or seen the movies. Just like I didn't see Star Wars. I just didn't do it. Growing up in the land of cattle, it wasn't a very common thing to go and do. I suppose we could get some reading material, but that's pretty rare too.
So I am noticing there's a membership price we have to pay to play in the USQ, which is the collegiate level of Quidditch.
How much is this membership, does it say?
So team membership is $250.
It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
And that gets you regular season play, a customizable team page on the website, advertising in e-blasts and social media, and the ability to use the USQ logo and branding on jerseys.
Huh.
So
That was the other thing with these sponsors, aside from the entire county that we got. I haven't heard of any of those, I don't think, before.
yeah, I'm trying to see, do these maybe they don't. I was trying to see if they had like a partnership page on the USQ, but you know, maybe collegiate Quidditch just hasn't caught on yet. You know, the pro scene started out, and we're still building the grassroots to really develop into a qualified sport.
I am here looking at Savage Apparel at viapparel.co. I don't think this is it.
Unfortunate. Well, you know, maybe some of those sites have been deprecated, but to be completely honest, I think we beat Quidditch to death. If it's something you like doing, great. Maybe try basketball. Maybe basketball would be something you could do a little easier than having to find stick broom team. So,
or extreme ironing.
Or extreme ironing, if you're into that. That is a thing too.
That is apparently a thing. This was quite the list that we went through.
That being said, folks, I think we're going to end the show here. Thanks for joining us for the episode 7 of the Slim and Slam podcast. Slam, anything to close with?
I would just like to say underwater hockey right up there with medieval combat.
All right, everybody. Have a good rest of your day and enjoy the rest of the week.
Have a good one.